April 28th, 1789. Mr. Christian seizes the Bounty. You are there.
Walter Cronkite reporting, April 28, 1789. Where is His Majesty's ship Bounty? It's a full year and 4 months since the Bounty sailed from England, bound for the South Pacific Seas, her mission to collect breadfruit trees from the Pacific Islands and deliver them to the planters in the West Indies. Now the planters are writing, none of the vessels touching at Jamaica have sighted her, nor heard news of her in any of the world's known ports. What's happened to the ship? And London is beginning to wonder, did the fate of Captain James Cook also overtake the commander of the Bounty, Lieutenant William Bligh, and every member of his 45-man crew? It is 1789. Just 10 years ago, England's great explorer, Captain James Cook, was murdered by savages on a Pacific island. His sailing master on that fatal voyage was William Bligh, the same William Bligh who now for a year and 4 months has been unreported, since he sailed from England in command of His Majesty's ship Bounty, bound again for the Pacific Islands. Like the planters of the West Indies, curious for news of Bligh and the crew of the Bounty, we too direct our inquiry to the Royal Society for Promoting Arts and Commerce in London. All things are as they were then, except you are there.
Dick Joy in London. This is not the Royal Society for Promoting Arts and Commerce, but it is the club where we finally located the president of the Royal Society, Sir Joseph Banks, the eminent English naturalist, the man who is personally responsible for the expedition of the Bounty.
I say, you news chaps do have a way of spreading things a bit thick, don't you?
Then the Bounty's voyage was not your idea, Sir Joseph? The introduction of breadfruit trees into the West Indies?
No, not entirely. The idea grew from a discussion with my planter friend, Hinton East, in Kingston, Jamaica.
We understood you recommended the expedition to His Majesty King George III.
Well, I put in a word.
And, acting upon the King's approval, you supervised the Royal Navy's purchase of the armed vessel, the Bethia, which you yourself rechristened the Bounty, whereupon you recommended one Lieutenant William Bligh to serve as commander and purser of the expedition.
Your information is roughly accurate.
Sir Joseph.
Ah, there you are, Sir Joseph. There you are.
Hello, Peter. This is good to see you. Do sit down.
No,
Oh, please.
Well, just for a moment, then. Sir Joseph, have you any news of the Bounty yet?
Oh, Peter, I've told you time and again, the first moment I hear any word...
So you have, but his mother and I have waited so long for that first moment. My son is on the unreported ship, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Judge Peter Haywood.
How do you do?
Deemster of the Isle of Man Common Law Courts. His son, Peter, is a midshipman on board the Bounty.
If you can call a boy of 14 a midshipman.
Your son is only 14, Judge Haywood?
He was 14 when he sailed. He'd be 16 now. But we haven't had a word or a whisper from him for a year and a half now.
A year and 4 months, Peter. Moreover, Lieutenant Bligh told you in my presence that they might very well be away as long as 2 years.
What has happened to them, Sir Joseph?
William Bligh is one of the most competent navigators England ever bred, and I have complete confidence in his ability, both as a sailor and as a ship's commanding officer. He'll look after your boy, Peter.
My wife has heard so many lurid fables about the South Pacific Islands and the hostile savages there. And also as a sailor's sort of other Eden, demi-paradise. I'm not sure what concerns her the most, whether it is the unfriendly or the friendly savages.
If Bligh has roughness to him, it's on the question of discipline. You may be sure that he won't stand for any nonsense.
I'm sure he won't. Well, if you do have news, you will pass it along, won't you?
Of course I will, Peter. Immediately.
Thank you, Sir Joseph.
Bye, Peter.
This is Dick Joy, and that's all at this time from London.
Show spirit there. He stopped your grog. You'll stop your mess rations next. You'd best show spirit, men.
Todd Hunter speaking aboard His Majesty's ship Bounty. The sky is clear, the sea is calm. Our cargo is aboard and our course is set for the West Indies and for home. The morale of every man aboard this ship should be at its highest peak. It is not. It is not. But perhaps you'll find an explanation in an interview we hope to arrange shortly with Lieutenant William Bligh. Meanwhile, Bill Stout in the cabin greenhouse has something of interest on our very unusual cargo. Come in, Bill Stout.
This is Bill Stout. And this is William Brown, the assistant gardener here on His Majesty's ship Bounty out of Tahiti. Where are we, Will? Can you give us some idea?
Not me.
I'm a gardener, I am, and I knowed it from the first week when I come aboard this blasted ship.
Well, would you say we're at sea about 24 days west of Tahiti?
Yes, near as I can guess.
And we stayed at Tahiti a full 23 weeks collecting our cargo of tropical plants?
Stayed more than 5 months longer than what we needed just collecting them breadfruit plants. Ooh, some others, of course, but mostly just breadfruit.
How many trees and plants would you say we have aboard, Will?
Well, I can't hardly say, but old breadfruit Bligh, as they call him, he took on more than 1,000 of his favourite varieties.
Well, you're watering those plants, but why aren't the pots flooded? Where is the water going?
Oh, well, it's like this, see? Your floor is sort of built up. It's like a false floor. Under what you got your deck covered with lead. Now then, your water drips through your pots onto the lead, which drains it off into them corner pots, see? What brings it all back again into storage tubs to be used all over again. See?
Nobody ever goes searching for a man in here. The old man is accusing me. I should know. He opened his big fat face and... Brownie, you seen it. Tell Alexei, will you, about the old man and his blinking coconuts?
2 of our crew, Thomas Burkett and Alexander Smith, both able seamen.
You seen him. Held me up close to him. Yelled into my face about I was the guilty one that filched his blinking coconuts.
Right.
Well, tell Alex he doesn't believe it. Now need to tell me I believe it.
He got me too, Tom. Got you too? Yeah, he blowed in here like a screaming gale, yelling that I'd nipped these coconuts and hid him in me pots.
Then he called him a liar and searched in every pot himself. Right. Next time he holds his face close to mine and screams, I'll bash his face, I will, Captain or not.
I heard that he'd cut the whole ship's grog and reduced our yanks.
He did, officers and all. Oh, I came awful close, Alex, the time he had you whipped to bashing him. Oh, so close, so close. That was a rare example of Bligh justice. He lashed me with a cat 12 times because some native stole the rudder gudgeon one night. And I was the only man on the ship awake.
He's a lunatic, that man.
He's not a man. At least he's not a human man.
Burkett! Smith!
The officer is Fletcher Christian, master's mate, recently appointed acting lieutenant, which means, of course, Mr. Christian is second in command of the Bounty, next in authority to Captain William Bligh himself.
Now we'll catch it proper. All of us. 24 lashes more.
Come along, men. And you, Brown. I want you too.
Now, Mr. Christian, sir, I didn't speak anything ill of the captain, sir. No, Captain Bligh, very fine man. That's what I said. I'll leave it to him. If I didn't speak only in the highest respect of the captain. I'll leave it to him, sir.
Stop your whining and come along.
23 weeks of soft living in Tahiti. No wonder the crew chafes under discipline, and no wonder, too, that discipline has become necessarily severe. Todd Hunter is aboard somewhere. Come in, Todd, wherever you are on this unhappy ship.
This is a happy ship. I'd say that our voyage has advanced with uninterrupted prosperity, attended with many circumstances equally pleasing and satisfactory.
You mean by that, Captain Bligh?
I mean just what I say, sir.
Yes, sir. Your cargo is aboard in excellent condition.
1,015 breadfruit plants. So hale that their roots are pushing through the pots for future delivery at Jamaica. To the everlasting gratitude of the planters. Not to mention several hundred rare tropicals selected personally by me for the King's Own Gardens at Kew. Compliments of William Bligh.
And now, Captain, I presume we'll set our sails to catch the swiftest winds to carry us to the West Indies and then home.
You're presuming correctly, sir. You'll live at least another year aboard the Bounty before we raise the coast of England.
Another year?
I've surveys and maps and charts to draw, sir. These waters are poorly known. No Royal Navy navigator worth his name fails to record the unknown reefs, shoals, vagrant keys and islands amongst which he passes. I ask you, sir, how much is known of the east coast of New Holland, Endeavour Straits, or the 1,000 coral snarls and treacheries that lie betwixt us and them? How much is known?
Captain Bligh, you say you have a happy ship.
And so I have. Though I'd hardly call them, officers and crew alike, any credit to the Royal Navy. They're a parcel of lubberly rascals, thieving scoundrels. They stole my coconuts this morning. I suppose they'll steal my yams next. But I'll sweat them for it, the rascals. Mr. Pryor! Where'd I find the villain? I'll pipe a dance for him. When my own officers can't give a better account of things stolen during their watches.
Hi, Captain.
Mr. Fryer, there's a thief aboard this ship. Have you found him yet?
Not yet, sir.
He stole our cheese a year ago. He stole my pigs at Tahiti. And this morning he stole my coconuts.
The men, sir, have offered to make good your losses, sir, from donations of their own coconuts.
Of their own coconuts?
Well, Captain, those natives at Tahiti gave us all so many pigs and fruit and coconuts. Every man has ample share.
He has he? You forget yourself, Mr. Fryer. 9/10 of everything brought aboard this ship belongs to me. Tell Mr. Samuel to stop the grog of every man aboard until the thief has been found.
You stopped the grog yourself, sir, this morning.
Discipline, Mr. Fryer. How can you expect promotion in the Royal Navy when you've not yet learned to do what you're told?
Aye, aye, sir.
My sailing master. Does a man like that have the sterling ring of a Captain James Cook? Or even, modesty permitting, Captain William Bligh?
You are now a captain in the Royal Navy, sir?
Lieutenant Bligh at the moment. But rank follows worth in the Navy, sir. Once Sir Joseph Banks has his breadfruit trees safe and prospering in the West Indies, and the King, God save him, has his rare tropicals in his own Kew Gardens, compliments of William Bligh. Indeed, it is a true and customary saying that rank follows worth.
We have been speaking with the
One
commander
moment, sir. I should like you to hear this entry from both the log and my private journal. 28th April, 1789. Course was set west-northwest to pass to the south of the island Tafor, then distant about 30 miles. The ship is in perfect order, and all my plants in a flourishing condition. All my men and officers are in good health, and everything flatters my expectations.
Not a word, sir, or you're dead. Stay as you are. Tie his hands behind him.
Smith, Mr. Christian, what is the cause of this villainy, sir?
You, sir. You're the cause. Be quiet.
What is this? What's happening? Mr. Christian is subduing the captain by armed force. If this means he's trying to usurp command of the ship, incredible. Why, this appears to be mutiny.
You hound, commanding your captain to be quiet, are you? Mr. Fryer!
Mr. Fryer will not respond. I suggest you remain quiet.
You suggest, do you? Have you forgotten the article on mutiny, Mr. Christian?
Put him to his feet.
Hayward, call out the men! Turn out the officers! Alarm the ship to mutiny!
I'm taking the ship, Haywood. You'll suffer no harm if you don't interfere.
I command you, Peter. Summon the men, sound the alarm. Run, Peter!
Midshipman Peter Haywood taken by complete surprise. How many officers and men Christian has with him, we don't know. But certainly his success will depend on the reaction of the others like Haywood here.
What will you do with him?
The bosun is hoisting the small cutter out. Go help him.
I'm not involved in this.
I said go help the bosun.
Your father would see you hang for mutiny if you lend a hand in this.
You do as you're told, Peter.
Mutiny, you filthy swine. Not one man among you is fit to wear the king's uniform.
If we don't shut his mouth somehow. Take him on deck. Let him see how many men will follow him now.
Will no man rescue me?
Dissatisfaction on the ship is understandable, but mutiny. Come in, Bill, start on deck.
Not a shot has been fired. The uprising was so completely unexpected that those few officers, petty officers, and men who were not aware of what was happening seemed to have been shocked beyond all thought of offering any resistance. Oh, Mr. Fryer.
Can't believe it. Impossible.
You had no suspicion, Mr. Fryer, that this was afoot?
I can't believe it was planned at all.
Do you have any idea, sir, how many of the ship's men are actively involved?
It was just as though the idea had come on all of them. All at once.
Mr. Fryer, you have no weapon, but neither do you appear to be a prisoner. May we infer from this that your own loyalty has not yet been committed?
What are you trying to say about me?
We were asking, Mr. Fryer, not saying.
Are you asking me to face up to one of them, barehanded, fierce as they feel against Captain Bligh?
What, Mr. Fryer? Are you with these dogs, too? I've always guessed you for a criminal.
I'm not with them, Captain.
Then you oppose me, Mr. Fryer.
Oppose? No, Mr. Christian. I'm hardly in a position to oppose.
You want promotion in the Royal Navy, Mr. Fryer. This is your chance to prove your loyalty to your king.
If he don't hold his tongue, Mr. Christian. That's enough, Captain Bligh.
Enough, is it? Cut me loose, Mr. Fryer. I'll show you how to manage a boat full of swine.
I said that's enough.
You've got me bound, Mr. Christian, and your cutlass at my throat. I dare you to murder your captain, Mr. Christian, before this company of cowards and thieves. I dare you to the act of murder. But if you don't, sir, I shall live to see you dancing at the end of a rope, and every man aboard with you bearing arms in mutiny against the vested authority of King George III, your king, as well as mine.
Shout on, Captain Bligh, but not a man among us will turn back. You've beaten a man on this ship for the last time.
Take his cutlass, Peter. I'll pardon every man of you that strikes a blow on my behalf this instant. Filthy beasts! Won't any man of you defend his king and decency?
We've already lifted our hands, sir, in behalf of decency. Is the small cutter out, Peter?
The bosun says the small cutter's very leaky, Mr. Christian. The hulls worm-eaten and rotten.
That's true, Mr. Christian. To put them in the small cutter would be murder.
You'd prefer the launch, then, would you, Mr. Fryer?
Me?
Very well, Peter. Tell the bosun to hoist out the launch.
You're not going to put me in the boat.
Keep him yourself, Mr. Christian. On a small boat, he would be worse than no man at all, for he has a mouth and a belly to him.
All hands! Hear me now! I'll say the names of those to go into the launch with Captain Bligh. There'll be no avail by arguments or pleadings. No for certain I'll brook no whining. We'll load you water and food. You'll have a quadrant and a compass. There are islands hereabouts, and you'll find land. One more word. If any man of you chances to get home, let him tell this. The mutiny was my doing. It began in me alone this morning. Let him also say this, that many men who stayed with the Bounty were kept by Fletcher Christian against their will, innocent of lifting arms against their king. The fault is mine.
And you'll hang for it, Mr. Christian, and every scurvy rascal of your crowd. I'll pardon any man that turns his musket on this villain now. This is your captain's voice. If there's an ounce of Royal Navy blood beneath your filthy hides, you'll shoot that man, Fletcher Christian.
Silent! One more outburst and I'll have you put below.
I've had my say. I don't want any of them. There's only one real Englishman standing on this deck. His name is William Bligh. Now put me in that boat alone. I can't stand the smell of any of them.
When I call your name, get your personal things and then go into the launch. I won't hear any argument. These are the names. David Nelson. Thomas Ledward. William Purcell. William Peckover. John Fryer. John Hallett. John Norton.
That's the decision.
Thomas Ledward.
Unless the captain finds someone with a change of heart, he and several others will be set adrift in the ship's launch, halfway around the world from home. These are the men who've either chosen or been directed by Christian to share whatever fortune may befall Captain William Bligh in the open boat. I see among them the clerk, Mr. Samuels, and Seaman Thomas Hall and Robert Tinkler. Mr. Christian, would you answer a question, sir?
One moment. Keep a steady course. We're dropping the launch. Now, sir.
You said all this was your idea.
It was. I accept the entire blame. We've lived in torment on this ship. The past 2 weeks have been impossible to bear.
Mr. Christian, how long had you planned this?
Go on, say the word. Mutiny. Nasty sounding, isn't it? I never thought a man could be driven to it. I was wrong.
You've been planning it for 2 weeks?
No. My only plan was to leave the ship myself. I built a raft. I was prepared to slip over the side last night, but the sea was calm. The night was clear and balmy, and the men kept walking up and down. I had no chance to get away. I gave it up and went to bed.
Until last night, you had planned to leave the ship yourself, alone on a raft?
That's right. But this morning, when I was called for my watch, everywhere I turned, I seemed to see men who'd been beaten and abused by the captain. It occurred to me that if given a choice, more of these men would go along with me on the raft than would stay aboard this ship with Captain Bligh. After that, in my mind, it was simply a matter of changing places. Excuse me.
You know the feelings he has for me.
Get in the boat, Purcell.
How long will any of us live in there with this man?
Get in the boat.
So this is your choice, is it, Peter? Knowing your family, I imagine there was better blood in you.
Come, Captain Bligh. Your officers and men are waiting in the boats.
I favored you, Mr. Christian.
Right or wrong, sir, the torment of your favor is impossible to bear. Your men are waiting in the boat.
Have you given us any weapons?
Throw them the cutlasses. Free his hands. Into the boat, Captain.
Every man of you to justice if I have to sail this open boat to England myself!
Keep a sharp watch on them, Thomas.
Aye, sir.
I know, lads. I've done a terrible thing. But there's no cure for it in turning back now.
Rowing towards the island of Tafoa.
God be with them.
Bligh landed on Tafoa Island, where savages killed one of the men. Embarking then in one of the most incredible feats of navigation ever recorded, he sailed his open boat across almost 4,000 miles of uncharted seas, landing at Timor. A Dutch ship carried Bligh to England, and a frigate was dispatched to apprehend the mutineers, 14 of whom were found living on Tahiti in paradise. 2 had been killed there, and Christian with 8 others had sailed away in the Bounty. 10 prisoners reached England to stand trial. 3 were hanged, including Thomas Burkitt. 7 were pardoned, including Peter Haywood. For 19 years, nothing was known of the fate of Fletcher Christian and the last 8 mutineers, until an American vessel touched at Pitcairn Island. Christian and 7 of the other men were dead. Only Alexander Smith lived on, patriarch of a peaceful settlement of 35 women and children. One final item, March 1791, 2 years after the mutiny, Captain William Bligh sailed on the Providence for Tahiti. His mission, to collect breadfruit trees and convey them to the West Indies. His mission was accomplished. April 28, 1789, Mr. Christian seizes the Bounty. What sort of a day was it? A day like all days, filled with those events that alter and illuminate our time. And you were there.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help us produce more compelling historical content like this, please like, comment below, and share this video with fellow history buffs. And of course, be sure to subscribe to help keep history happening.